From your fryer to the table, it's a quick trip for crispy fries. But how about a crosstown delivery? McCain SureCrisp fries are designed to go from fryer to container to carrier to passenger seat across town during rush hour down a shortcut that wasn't all that short to a doorstep before they hit the table. And that first bite, the crispiness speaks for itself. To the last bite, McCain SureCrisp fries. Go the distance. See how far our fries can take your business at surecrisp.com/delivery.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, you know who's speaking about voting rights and also protecting Americans is the person who's joining us in studio right now, the great Jack Ciattarelli, of course, who is GOP gubernatorial candidate, leading in all the polls, which is awesome. And, of course, in New Jersey, there's a primary, right, in June. So it's coming up. First off, how big of an issue is the migrant issue in New Jersey? It seems like around the country.
Well, because of what Joe Biden failed us on the border, we're all border states, Rita, but in particular New Jersey. But I will tell you, on day one, I'll appoint an attorney general that will work with me to make sure that no town in New Jersey is a sanctuary city, and we will not be a sanctuary state. That only encourages illegal immigration. We're not going to have that in New Jersey.
Jack,
Murphy.
New Jersey, the governor gets to appoint the attorney general, right?
You bet he does, and the judges and the 21 county prosecutors as well, John, and we will be a law and order state once again. We don't have that today.
Happy days are here again for New Jersey.
Where it is.
Yeah, where is the song? We need that. By
Now,
the way,
you know what we did? We stole the song from the Democratic Party and made it for all the people.
For all Americans.
Law and order days are here again.
Law and order in New Jersey. People are going to feel safe?
You bet. I mean, it's an issue, and we see it even in our suburbs with the break-ins and the car thefts. We've got this mentality in New Jersey because of the Phil Murphy administration. We show more sympathy for the criminal than we do for the victim. People have had it. It was one of the number one issues across the state that allowed Donald Trump, I think, to perform so well there.
And Governor Murphy was one of the first people to come out and also say, hey, we're not going to deport illegal migrants. He was one of the guys leading the pack, him, J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, but he was like one of the first ones to say it.
Oh, yeah. And Rita, what I think is the height of irresponsibility is governors, including ours, who are now stepping up and saying that we're not going to work with the president and do everything to push back. He's the duly elected president of the United States. He won the popular vote. He won the electoral college. He won the 6 swing states. He won the House. He won the Senate. Our governor has a responsibility to work with the president, keep our community safe.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, speaking of which, you have run before and you blew everybody away because it was like, wait, Jack Ciattarelli, you almost beat Murphy last time.
Close. It was an amazing race. I mean, it was within a hair, and New Jerseyans spoke.
Yes.
They spoke at that election. They weren't happy with him back then. And now we're going to do it this year.
Yeah.
Craig, I've been in New Jersey, and the Ciattarellis have been in New Jersey for 100 years. I know New Jerseyans, and I was confident we could win that race. And by the way, I was the governor-elect for 5 hours and 45 minutes.
Rita, what's funny is I ran his cousin Mark for borough president when I was the chairman in Brooklyn about 15 years ago.
That's great.
And I didn't even know that they were related until recently.
Well, Rita,
with a name like Ciattarelli, I would imagine.
Well, he's D'Ottavio.
He's D'Ottavio. That's my mother's sister. But
right.
I like this math. Donald Trump lost New Jersey last time by 16 points. Yeah. 12 months later, I followed it up with a 2-point loss. He just lost New Jersey by 5 points. The way I look at it, the CPA in me says I'm up by 9 points.
Yeah.
But no, things are changing in New Jersey. Our Republican registrations are off the charts, and we're going to get it done this time around.
We were talking, speaking of math, we were talking about your taxes. Poor Craig. I mean, you think about how much money people are spending in taxes, to have a summer home.
I'm there 3 months a year and then maybe a half a dozen weekends during the winter, and my taxes are over $30,000 for a summer home.
New Jerseyans face the highest overall tax burden in the country, the highest property taxes, one of the highest personal income tax rates, one of the highest sales tax rates, and the highest business tax rate, all in New Jersey. Yeah. And that's all got to change, and it will when I'm governor.
Yeah, that is key because people are getting socked in all different directions. What about crime? John was talking about law and order. It's a huge issue, especially in New York. We have seen, and so many people are commuting, they're going back and forth. But in New York, it's these random crimes. It's a lot of this sort of, and it's drugs. There's a lot of these issues, the loosening, the bail reform, the revolving door. Let's talk about what's going on in New Jersey.
Well, Rita, bail reform or cashless bail has really created professional criminals. You talk to law enforcement, and this is the term that they use, Judge: arrest, release, repeat. That's what's going on.
Absolutely.
And so it's been a terrible failure. We need to reform bail reform, and I'll appoint an attorney general that's going to help me do that. We're going to keep our communities safe. We're not going to have professional criminals. My idea for criminal justice reform is if it's a nonviolent crime. If it's a violent crime, you're doing your time. But if it's a nonviolent crime, when you come before the judge, we'll give you three choices. You want to be incarcerated? You want to go to vocational training with an ankle bracelet? You want to go to the military? But we're not just letting people go free and creating professional criminals.
Is there any rule,
idea.
by the way, for Jack to be governor of both New York and New Jersey?
Yeah, exactly. By the way, I like your idea, what you just said about the military. Talk about that. That's an interesting point you just brought up. I haven't heard anybody else say that.
Listen, there are thousands of people that found a second life in the military, the discipline that it provides, the opportunity that it provides.
Absolutely.
And,
what a noble profession.
So I'm all about redemption and second chances. But what we're not having to do, we're going to make sure justice is served. You're not going free. Cashless bail has created this problem in New Jersey, and we see the crime all throughout the state, and people have had it.
Craig Eaton.
It needs to change, and I think the presidential election sends the message to everyone else that people are fed up, like I said before, and I think we're going to see a wave of Republican governors and Republican mayors around this country winning. But you know what? They brought up a good point before. New York City, I think Steve Forbes brought it up. We need to increase the Republican Party in New York City, and I'm going to help to do that in Brooklyn.
Well, Craig, to your point, 36 months in a row, new Republican registrations have outpaced new Democratic registrations, and the gap between the two is to the benefit of Republicans by 300,000.
Wow.
So when you think about the closeness of my race in 21, think about that fact and what it means for 2025.
Well, some of them have lost their minds.
They've lost their minds, John. I'll show you examples of this. Phil Murphy supports 16 and 17-year-olds voting in Board of Education elections. 84% of New Jerseyans oppose that, and yet they're going to try and jam that down our throats, Judge?
I think that what you have to do is you have to win the governorship, and you have to bring along a state senate and a state assembly with you. Very important to win the legislative process.
I hold my head high, Judge. In 2021, we had our most successful night in 32 years. In fact, we flipped 8 seats in the state legislature and beat the longest sitting state senate president in the country. So I have the ability to provide coattails.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Go ahead,
I was
Craig
at his, when he made his announcement, and it was standing room only.
That's right. By the way, you were next to him.
It was amazing.
Because you passed the phone. You were on
yes.
our show, I believe,
But the
Jack.
thing that really bothers me is in some of the towns in New Jersey, they are letting teachers and people in the Board of Education talk to students about what do they identify as without even giving notice to the parents and without letting the parents have the responsibility to talk to their children. They're going behind the parents' backs and trying to, talk to these children, which they shouldn't be doing.
That's incredible. And that's
disgraceful.
And also, Craig, that's something that obviously on the national level, too, you saw President Trump talk about it, and resoundingly. In fact, many Democrats and independents said no. And that was part of the reason they voted for Trump.
You bet it is, Rita. So Murphy's attorney general put forth a policy that said that a school district can keep secrets from parents. That's indecent, it's immoral, it's wrong, and it's dangerous. And that changes on day one in New Jersey when I'm governor.
We just have a few seconds left before we got to go to a break. Real quick, congestion pricing. I had to bring that up.
Well, listen, we've got 400,000 New Jerseyans that come into New York every single day, and we're not going to be beat up in this way. So if they go ahead with this, I'm telling you, we're declaring war on New Yorkers that come into New Jersey because you're leaving us with no choice.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We're fed up with it.
It's
here
not the
in
New
the
Yorkers,
studio.
Jack. It's the governor
Loonies.
of New York.
Well, I hear you.
It's the state legislature.
But if you want people to use mass transit, make it convenient, make it safe, make it reliable, you'll get more people to use mass transit. And the same thing goes for New Jersey Transit. But you shouldn't be penalizing the people that come to New York every day and spur your economy.
But the big problem is the money for congestion pricing is never going where it should go.
Of course
it's going to be used for all these other things. It's not to save congestion.
Why don't you just make
congestion.
sure that the people who ride the subways and the buses
go
pay
after
their
the
fare?
fares. Go after the fare beaters.
Exactly.
Go after
it's
the
not about
fare
stopping
beaters.
congestion. It's about raising money, and it's foolish.
Well, go after the fare beaters. If you do that, then you're covered. You don't need to hit the good citizens. It's crazy. Jack, stick with us. We're going to go to a quick break. I love our great spirited studio here.